The goal of the warm-up is to raise your body temperature and prepare you for training, so try to adjust the way you do it to your own ability, so that by the end of it, you break a sweat and breathe a little bit faster. Before we begin, if you feel any pain or dizziness during any part of the warm-up, the main training session itself, or the cooldown, stop immediately and make sure you consult a health professional before continuing the program. Also, make sure that you wear appropriate clothing and exercise in an appropriate space that allow you to safely perform all the movements. Lastly, the exercises shown on the video are not being performed for the time or reps prescribed in the program for the sake of saving time, so the warm-up you do will be slightly longer. We'll start with 60 seconds of the standard jumping jacks, just to get you moving and raise your heart rate, so do it for as long as you need to accomplish these goals. It could be more or less than 60 seconds. Then we'll move on to the upper body. The first exercise is overhead press. Here, we're moving our arms from the position of the elbows being next to your torso to fully locked out overhead. Make sure you're not overextending the spine. Second one will be a horizontal press, so the exact same motion but in a horizontal direction. Notice how the body forms a straight line from its side view. Next we'll do a straight arm rotations. Make sure the elbow stays as locked out as possible and all the movement happens in the shoulder. You go from the thumb pointing into the floor to the thumb pointing all the way back. After that we'll do some standing arm circles, both forward and backward. Make sure to draw as big a circle as possible. And by this point you should be feeling a small burn in your shoulders, so don't worry about it, it's absolutely fine. Now we'll do a little bit of lower body as well. We've done some shoulder rotations, so let's work on the hip as well. Here, make sure you hold on to something, as it's really awkward to keep the balance. During the hip rotations, again, make sure to draw as big a circle as possible and keep the supporting leg flat on the ground. It shouldn't rotate either. You should be feeling the movement in the hip of the moving leg and both glutes. Okay, now we'll do some dynamic lunges forward. Keep the back leg slightly bent, front foot flat on the floor and go all the way to the floor until the knee touches it. But don't rest there, it's just a quick tap. A normal split squat or a single leg squat to a chair are also a good option here. After the lunges, we'll do some leg swings. As with the hip rotations, make sure you have something to hold on to. The movement should be dynamic, but we can work through it slowly, if it's more comfortable. Try to achieve as big a range of motion as possible, and do both front and side swings. Lastly, we'll finish off with some squats. Feet underneath or slightly outside your shoulders and rotate it out. You begin the movement by sitting both down and back at the same time, but you emphasize the down portion more. Go as low as you can while keeping your heels flat on the floor and straight back up.